Very good morning. My name's Ed Bussey. I'm the CEO of an organization called Oxford Science Enterprises. Last day for us here in Riyadh. And before I start, I just wanted to say thank you to all of our Saudi friends and guests who've been hosting us so graciously for this week. It's just incredible energy and positivity through all the conversations we've been having this week. So today I'm going to talk through a pretty unique organization called Oxford Science Enterprises. We're a venture builder. We were set up to look for the most advanced science and technology emerging from Oxford University labs to build companies. And we do that through three specific lenses. Number one, can we commercialize that science? Number two, can we build a business that's going to be worth north of £1 billion in value? And can we solve a fundamental global problem? Every company we build has to pass those three tests. And we're building companies in AI, in quantum, in therapeutics, in robotics, health tech, space, food security. I could go on. If you think about pretty much every single major global problem, we will be building at least one company to solve that problem. What makes OSE special? So four things I wanted to call out today, and I'm thinking particularly for those of you who are in the areas of university innovation, innovation ecosystems, interfacing with academics. We've learned over the last 10 years of building OSE some twists and turns, some trial and error. There are a few things that are absolutely critical to make this a success. So the first one is we have a strategic partnership with Oxford University, which gives us, number one, early access to the science and technology emerging from Oxford labs. We also have a university-wide confidentiality agreement, which allows us to engage in very detailed conversations with researchers, academics across the entire ecosystem in a way that is very difficult for them to do with others. The university also has a 5% non-dilutable golden share in OSE. So they're strategically aligned with us. And in return for that share, we receive an equity slice of every single science IP-based spin-out that emerges from the university. Second, we're building businesses off the shoulders of the world's #1 research university. Every single year for the last 10 years, Oxford continues to rank the league tables for the science and tech emerging from it. About £1 billion a year goes into the R&D within the university, and in a way we see that as the pre-seed funding on the shoulders on which we're building our companies. Comprises thousands of researchers, PhDs, 70 Nobel Prize winners. It is truly incredible. And one of the things that amazes me is it has this gravitational pull of researchers, scientists from around the world who come to Oxford to solve, or at least try to solve, some of humanity's biggest challenges. On these shoulders, as I say, through quite a bit of trial and error, we've built a venture building engine. This is absolutely key. And we've been optimizing that over the last 10 years. What does that mean? How does that work? It would be fair to say that we've now cracked that code. It is extremely difficult for those of you involved in this space to translate the world's most advanced science into standalone high-value companies. As I'll come on to show later, we're now doing this on a repeatable basis, but backed by long-term patient capital. I'm a recovering founder. I like to say last 20 years building businesses. It takes 12 to 15 years to build a business out of the lab to a meaningful valuation inflection point. OSE is in year 10. This is, a long-term patient capital play, and that's how we see the journey for OSE with our companies. Finally, we have a team on the ground. This cannot be done remotely. We have 60 scientists, entrepreneurs, investors within OSE, walking the corridors, in the labs, having coffee with the academics, sadly not Arabic coffee, but certainly some coffee with our academics, on a regular daily basis, sharing ideas and joining the dots, sometimes between departments that have never spoken to each other before, to surface commercialization opportunities off the back of that science. And that physical presence in the ecosystem is absolutely key. Within that, one of the key success drivers of this model has been the use of what we call entrepreneurs in residence. We have some incredible academic founders, but actually the killer solution is when you marry up the academic founder with a commercially proven CEO, somebody who's been on the journey before. Now, in deep tech, it's quite difficult to find those profiles, but in certainly like sectors like health tech, you can find people with the right phenotype who've got the experience, and our sort of killer solution is to marry them up with the academic and to build the business together. We're backed by 75 global shareholders, and we work alongside more than 300 co-investors. We've had broadly three different types of investor relationships. We have investors who have invested in OSE. We're a company, they buy equity in us, and we deploy that capital into the ecosystem. Number one, an example of that might be QIA, the Qatari Sovereign Wealth Fund, or Temasek, the Singaporean Sovereign Wealth Fund. The second group are those shareholders who've bought equity in us, full exposure to the entire asset class, but also come alongside us as a co-investor on a deal-by-deal basis. So a Google Ventures would be taking that approach. And then the third group is our network of 300 and growing co-investors who come in with us side by side on individual deals, special investors, or generalist investors, quite a lot of specialist investors, but this is where maybe a general catalyst would sit. The other thing I wanted to say about this, we're seeing a really exciting rise in the proportion of corporate VCs investing alongside us, including right down at the seed and Series A stage of the journey of our companies. And we really welcome that because it's a commercial opportunity down the line, but it's also commercial validation of the science and the businesses that we are building. So where are we today, after a decade of hard work? I'm very proud of this slide. OSE today is the largest single university venture builder in the world. Now, there are more spin-outs emerging around an MIT and a Stanford, but in terms of a single entity that has proven the engine of building now a company a month in all of those very complex deep science sectors, OSE is now pioneering the blueprint for how to do this at scale. We've got 120 portfolio companies, and I'm really proud that a few weeks ago we delivered our first unicorn exit, a company called Oxford Ionics in the quantum computing space. But what makes me even more excited is that I've got 50 more of these to come, not just in quantum, but in AI, in rare earth minerals, in health tech, in life sciences. We're building a pipeline of companies that are genuinely going to change the world. I say we're in year 10. We weren't expecting to have exits at this point. We see the uptick in realizations, exits, to kick in 2 to 3 years' time. But we have had 5 exits so far, totaling about 500 million in terms of return to us. But the big wave is still to come in the next few years. And we're forecast to grow our NAV from 1.3 billion today to more than 4 billion over the course of the next 5 years, so by 2030. So at least 3xing the value of OSE. I'm out here in Riyadh. I've been with 5 of our portfolio companies who are all raising. You might have seen our presentation with them earlier in the week, the showcase event, presenting Alloyed, which I won't go into more now because they presented themselves, and we're also alongside Salience Labs in photonic chips. But I'm just going to call out a couple of the other companies. It's always difficult. I'm not allowed to have a favorite child in the portfolio, and it would imply that one company is better than the others. We have so many incredible companies. But let me just pick out a couple just to give you a sort of breadth of what we're doing. Ultromics. When the world's best cardiologists look at your echocardiogram, the highest accuracy they're able to get to in terms of detecting the potential for a terminal heart attack or stroke is about 40%. Ultromics, with an incredible AI application coupled with a cardiologist, has got that close to 100%. It's a completely transformational business in an area that is killing more people in the US, as an example, than almost anything else. Fractile, at the other end of the spectrum, Ultromics being Series C stage. Fractile has just come out of stealth, just done its seed round, has developed a next generation chip that is faster than anything on the market today. I could say that because I'm the CEO of OSE, but Pat Gelsinger, former CEO of Intel, came in with a personal check. Almost immediately it came out of stealth, a company to watch. We feel we're just warming up. If I point to the left-hand side of this graph here, this is a graph showing the amount of capital being invested in Oxford spin-outs, not just OSE spin-outs, but the ecosystem, the Oxford ecosystem spin-outs. So in 2014, Oxford was maybe generating 3 to 4 spin-outs a year, total capital in around 100 million. We're now running at over $1 billion a year. Across the whole ecosystem. OSE last year, we had about $500 million of that going into just our portfolio companies. We're building circa 10 a year now, 20 companies being produced in total across Oxford. By 2035, bearing in mind MIT generating about 30 spin-outs a year, Oxford's going to be generating between 40 to 50 spin-outs a year, with a total investment projected to be of the order of £5 billion per annum going into the spin-out ecosystem. And we would expect OSE to be comprising about 20%, i.e. we're deploying £1 billion a year across the stages of companies we're building. Just to close off, we've run the numbers on our baseline case. The value of the companies that OSE is building in 10 years' time will be worth about 0.6% of total UK GDP. So not only are we building companies that are solving fundamental global problems, we're also moving the needle in a way that is going to have significant economic impact on the UK and beyond. And our underlying mission, and we firmly believe this, is that if the UK and other ecosystems that are building particularly deep tech companies, is that the first trillion-pound company that the UK will build will come out of a deep tech ecosystem in the likes of an OSE. So just to close off, why are we here in Riyadh this week? We're here to showcase 5 of our companies I mentioned earlier. The other reasons are these. All of our companies need to win on the global stage. Every single one of our companies needs to expand internationally. So the second reason we're here is to see if we can establish commercial partnerships between our portfolio companies and our Saudi and regional partners who are here at FII. The second reason we're here is, and I'm generally saying this on the back of a lot of trial and error and quite a bit of error, we've now got the playbook to build companies in deep science, out of the lab, to $1 billion value. We're very keen to share that playbook with our Saudi partners, and we've got a number of conversations taking place this week to see how we might be able to replicate that model here. And finally, we want to build a launch pad in the region for our companies to access this market, again, with Saudi partners. So do we do that in Riyadh as a launch pad into the wider Gulf region as well? Last but not least, in the same way that our companies are raising capital, OSE is also interested to speak to investors. We don't actually need to raise primary capital. We don't need to raise money at the moment, but we have a secondary market for our shares. We are currently running a process with Goldman Sachs, who are working with potential buyers of existing shareholders who might have been on the journey for 10 years and need some liquidity, etc. But we are open to conversations around investment into OSE, as well as directing investment from potential investors here in the region into our portfolio companies. I'm here with my colleague Polly, sat in front of me. If anyone here, or not here but listening in, would like to talk to us about how you build companies in this way and these ecosystems, we'd love to have that conversation with you. If you have an interest in investing or commercial opportunities with us or with our portfolio companies, we'd also love to hear from you. I think I've timed that with 6 seconds to go, so I'm not sure whether I can do any Q&A or not. No, I'm out of time. Thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure to be here in Riyadh with you all, and we look forward to seeing you again next year.